Okay, I think it should be coming back up. Yep. Sorry, I have no idea what's going on with the internet today. Okay, I think I'm back up. Can someone, okay, can someone verify Twitch for me? Okay, so sorry about that. The internet's going in and out, so I guess somehow I'm going to suspect that it's going to happen a couple more times through this process, and Andy's going to try to let me know as soon as possible, and I'm going to backtrack. So I apologize if we're backtracking too far, but better safe than sorry at this point. Okay, so no real steps have been made. I've just talked about my mistakes. Okay, so what I have is the 18 gauge wire in my hand, and I have a pattern that I'm going to end up not using because when I printed this, it seemed that it enlarged, and you really don't want this to be as big as the printout. So I'm going to fix a printout before I send the instruction sheets out today, but it should be only about 3/4 of an inch, and the sides should be about 3/8 of an inch is where we are. So I'm just going to haphazardly bend this. I'm just going to make a good bend out of it, like so. But I'm going to use this as a guide, just so I know how far to bend it, just like so. But then I'm going to measure the 3/8 down here. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to make my next bend. So I'm just trying to create a diamond shape, right? So this should be smaller than the piece, which is good. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to measure again on here, approximately where I need to be. Like so. Let's see, double check. Yep, okay. And bend it again. So what do you think about this new camera angle? You guys liking this? I feel like this might be a better way to go here. I don't know, it just occurred to me about 15 minutes ago. Like, let's change the camera angle. you know. Okay, earlier steps, there weren't any earlier steps. We're just jumping into the bail. I was just talking about where you should be at this point. So I'll go back. So you should have all your pieces soldered on, and you should have the spokes on there, and your bezel should be soldered right to the back. I'm sorry, the spoke in the middle should be soldered to the bezel, right flush to the back of the bezel. As you can see, your gold pieces probably have copper oxide on it, so you'll need to sand it, but we're not going to do it right now because you're going to have to do it again after we do all this other pickling anyway. But that's it. That's all we've got. Okay, so here, okay, glad you like the angle. Let's see if it works throughout the rest of the day. I'm hoping that because where I moved it to, I won't be torching the camera. Anyway, okay, so I'm making it smaller than my shape because the shape, remember, was printed too big. But we're just going to make a diamond like so, and then let's change out. Use whatever tools you need that works for you, okay? That's what this is all about. And I'm putting it on, and I'm measuring it at 3/8. That's pretty good. Can you see that? That's pretty good. Pretty happy. So I'm not going to cut it on the corner, but I'm going to cut it off because I like my joints to be on the side. Another thing too is this is going to be the bail. You definitely don't want it on a side corner because we're going to bend it, right? And you might pop that open, and it's not going to be easy to fix. So you want to make sure you put this seam on the side. Okay, so I'm just going to take out my flush cutters and just cut it right there. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and zoom this in just a little bit more. I feel like a little more zoom is helpful here. Okay. Okay, YouTube's not broadcasting, but Twitch and Facebook are, so I'm just gonna go with it. I feel like YouTube is my little outlier. Okay, and so here I'm going to snip it right there and make my bends. I don't want this width to be more than 3/8 of an inch, just so you know, because it gets a little too wide. You could, you could go bigger if you want. See here, this one is more than 3/8. It's just under half, and you can see how big this is. Okay, so you can see how big that is. I find that to be a little too big. Okay, so, but it's sort of up to you. I'm going to zoom in just a little more. Andy's asking me to come in just a little bit more. Okay, there we are. Alright, so I've cut the seam on the side, and here I'm going to start making adjustments. So my wires are overlapping here, and we're just going to cut this. And I can definitely see that I'm not even on here, so I'm going to make that bit of an adjustment too by straightening it out. And then making another bend, like so, and bringing it together. If you're having a hard time, go ahead and anneal it at this point. There we are. Okay. And you want that to come together nicely. You can go ahead and solder this joint together with hard solder, or not. It's up to you. I will go ahead and solder that. Alright, hold on. Put some stuff away here. So I'm not so worried about it being flat, because once I solder it, it'll give me, as you can see, it's like not flat. It'll give me some leverage to flatten it. Okay. And hard solder using paste because it's easiest. Just a bit there. That's not a little bit, that's a lot of bit. Okay, there you go. I think you can see it there, maybe. And take out the torch. And I'm going to heat the whole thing. Everything gently, right at the blue tip. And then right over the joint until it flows. Don't melt it. I almost did. Did you see that? It's sort of laid down. Okay. Quench it. And here, if you want nice, you want to go ahead and sand the joint, because you're going to have a hard time doing it after we solder it down. So remember, I said that you needed to save or reserve some of the sheet metal that was provided for the bail. We're going to definitely need that. My shape is slightly off. Actually, this is going to be so much easier this way. Okay, so my shape is off. No big deal. Again, I'm just going to reshape it now, because you know the wire is a lot more pliable since I heated it. Okay, and yes, this is going to be the framework for the bail for the flat sheet. Alright, Q. Let's fix that. Okay, so now it's going to go in the pickle. Okay. So for the sheet, I happen to have a piece of scrap that has a texture on it. Can you see that? If you want to put a texture on it, you can. You can go ahead and just hammer it and create a a textured a textured pattern or hammered pattern on it. Pretty simple. If you don't know how to do that, we'll just do that really quickly while we're pickling. But you know, you just take out your sheet metal, you take out your chasing hammer that for some reason I have lost. Oh, nope, right in front of me. And you just hammer until you get a desired shape. That's all. That's simply a hammered texture. No big deal. If you want to create something different, you can take out your file if you want it to and put in hash marks into your metal and just scratch it. It could be fun, right? And then go in a couple different directions. And that should be heavy enough. I'm using the tip of my file. That should be heavy enough to create some sort of a pattern and interest. Okay? If you have metal stamps, you can definitely use those and just punch them all over the place, and that will create a texture for you. Swirls are always fun. That's my favorite. As you can see here, believe it or not, these scratch marks, you do it evenly, it'll be a great texture. Okay. Let's go take a look at the pickle and see where our frame is. Okay. Good enough. Okay, so there's my frame. Alright. So next thing you're going to do is make sure it's nice and flat. Put it on your bench block and flatten it. I want to take a quick measurement here. I want to see how wide this is. So this is 3/8, okay? Just so you know. Okay. So Andy tells me there's a bit of a lag out there on Twitch land today. And that things aren't matching up the way they should be matching up. Okay. I want this a little bit more narrow, so I'm just going to bring it in like so. Okay. And this side, I don't know, for whatever reason the corner is not as nice as the other one, so I'm just going to try to fix it. Yes, this is again me being a little anal retentive. There it is. Okay. So make sure it's nice and flat again, because this is going to have to lay flat on your texture sheet, like so. Okay. So there we are. Is it flat? It's not. Maybe your texture sheet isn't flat. Mine apparently is not. So I'm going to flatten it. Or just your plain sheet metal, whatever you're putting it on needs to be nice and flat. And this needs to make contact all around, or you will suffer for it. Seriously, this really does need to solder all the way around, okay? Okay, so am I happy with that? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. You can see it's nice and even. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to switch out to the tripod. Okay. Wow, even on my screen, everything's a little jittery. It's a little weird. Okay. Usually because this is direct, it should all be nice and even. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and use medium solder. If you're using copper, you're just going to use copper all the way through. And I'm going to take a lot of solder because I really, really, really want this to have a great connection. And I'm going to put it on the bottom. So you can see, just like so. I'm going to put it in at least 4 places. I'm going to pull out my tweezers because I think that's going to help me. Could be wrong. But there. I feel like my fingers are too big for this. There we go. Okay, so at least 4 spots. I'm going for the corners because I feel like that's easiest right now. You can put them on the sides instead, that's fine too. But because we're going to be bending this over, I really want to make sure that that corner is soldered on. Put a little more here. Yes, I'm a little aggressive with the solder today, because you don't get this down, like I said, when you go to bend it, it's going to fall apart. There we are. Okay. Make sure that's nice and down. Make sure that there is coverage all around, in that there's no holes, and there's enough back sheet for the frame. And you know what? I feel like there's too much lighting here. Let me see if I can fix that a little bit. Oops. Hold on. A little bit better. Okay. Want you to be able to see that. Alright, because it's about to get even brighter with the torch. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to torch from underneath. I want to get it really nice and hot, and I want to get the sheet metal hot first. So then once it's hot, I'm going to move very quickly over the top and heat it from the top and get that wire, and then it'll make the connection. Okay? So gently moving it around, tool in hand, just there. It's getting hot, hot, hot. You can see that. Move it right over, and boom. Yep. That's it. Done. I'm looking to see if I have made, if it has soldered all around the frame, and it has. Okay. Let's quench it and see. All right. There we are. So cool. Throw it in the pickle. It'll be right back. So now you're going to need some shears and a file to cut this. So we'll trim it, file it, and then we'll solder it on. Okay? So what else is going on here? Oh yeah, so last night I posted the August schedule with a link and an explanation, so for everybody who's new out there, you know what's going on. But I posted that on the Q Talk Facebook page, so if you're looking for the August projects, it is there, and it is on our website. And by the way, if you're on Twitch and you're watching, do say hello. Give us a little hi. Tell us where you're watching from, so we know that you're out there and not just lurking. If you're on Facebook, hey, do us a favor and share the videos, because we need that to keep this going. It's important to keep our numbers up, because you know, the more viewers you get, you know, tells me I'm doing a good job. All right, let's see what's going on in the pickle. Yay, all done. Good enough. So here we are coming out of the pickle. Okay. So if you didn't solder this well, what's going to happen, it's going to happen right now. It'll break apart right now. It'll pull away from the wire, and the sheet will pull away. So I'm just going to go right in there and trim this off. Okay? And it cuts like cardboard, like really heavy cardboard, if you've never done this before. The other key too here is you don't want to use serrated shears. I don't know why, personally, I have never had a need for serrated shears on my jeweler's bench, and I don't know why you would even keep some on your jeweler's bench. It just, I don't know, doesn't make sense to me. So unless one of you guys can come up with something, this is all I've got. So I always keep straight shears. I'm sorry, Andy. Hello, Long Island. Okay, so here I'm just going to go and I'm filing at a slight angle underneath. So if you notice, I have my wire on top and I'm filing underneath like so. It creates a nice little bevel, and it's also a really nice little finish. So you're just going to sit here and you're going to file all of this down, right? Until it's nice and even and you don't see any metals sticking out. Okay. There we are. So August, we're preparing for Virtually Ever Crafting, which is the event that's online event that we're doing, virtual event that we're doing for a whole weekend of classes. And because there's so much going on for Virtually Ever Crafting, some of the classes I'm reducing the number of projects for next month. So I think next week we're going to do flex shaft maintenance, if I remember correctly. So we'll talk about flex shafts and how to maintain them and that kind of stuff. So we do more of some demo days in August. Okay, so I flipped it over and I'm going to do a little bit more filing there. And you see, I have this nice shape. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. The next part, maybe not so easy, but straightforward. Okay. I'm just going to do a little bit more filing here because this is going to be my final piece. This is not just a test piece for me like I usually do. This is actually going to be a final piece. I'm going to take a little bit more care to get this to happen. Taking off all the sharp edges, and I'm going to throw this onto some sandpaper here in just a moment because I want to remove the file marks. Okay, there we go. So I have sandpaper wrapped around a tongue depressor. Seems to make life a lot easier. I can't remember whose tip that was, but somebody put that tip up there a couple months ago. And I've been using it ever since, so thank you for sharing that. Hopefully you guys picked up on some of those tips too, and it's been helpful on your workbench. But you know, tips come from all over the place, and if you have a tip while you're watching, do post it. We'll share it because you know we learn from each other. Hello, Madison, Wisconsin. So, anybody in Europe watching? I think there are a couple people in Europe watching right now, right? I think. Anyway, so I'm just removing some of the file marks and I'm making it nice and smooth is what I'm doing. And again, if you notice, I'm also filing at an angle. I'm not filing just straight. I'm filing in to create a bevel. Okay, it's one of my, I don't know, I'm not going to say it's like a hallmark for me, but it's one of the things I really like to do because it makes it such a nicer finish. And I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on that joint. It needs a little bit more love right there. Okay. And I have one little sharp edge right there. It's going to take a little bit to take it off. I'm using, what am I using? Like 400 or 500 sandpaper right now, if you're wondering. And by the way, if you didn't know this, I mentioned it before, if you're using wet dry sandpaper, did you know that you can rinse off your sandpaper and it will add life to it because you're taking all of the shavings off of there and exposing the sandpaper. So, because wet dry sandpaper is usually more expensive than just regular sandpaper. Okay, there I am. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do, I am going to pull out my multi-looping plier. And I'm going to bend this over. Let's see, let's decide. I'm going to do the second largest, I think is going to be best. And notice I am right through the middle like so. And it's never going to bend because I've been working on it and it's work hardened. So let's anneal it. So annealing is just a process of heating up your metal to open up those molecules to make it a little bit more pliable. So you want to heat this until it starts changing colors, but not to the point where you're opening up any joints and releasing or flowing any solder. So really nice and anneal. Gonna go from the bottom too, because I want that sheet metal to be soft too. You know, once you add this frame on there, it makes it really a hard piece of metal. It becomes pretty thick. Okay, so not surprising if you are unable to bend it. Okay, so I'm going to put it right on here again, and I'm going to help myself. I'm going to pull out my nylon pliers and see if I can bend it around. See how I'm doing that? Actually, I'm going to turn it this way and see if I can just bend it over. Wah. Come on. So notice how I'm just playing with it. Whatever you need to do to create leverage to bring it around. See that? Isn't that cool? So I have a bale. Look at that. Cool, right? Yay! Okay. So here I have a small opening. It is up to you if you want to leave that bit of an opening and put it between the wires, or you can pinch that together and put it right on top. I think I'm going to go ahead and open it up just a hair with my other handy dandy tool. Oops. Okay, so it's too big for that. So we're going to put it in here. I'm going to open it just a little bit. Just enough space for my wire. I'm going to put it between the wire between it. Nope. Still not big enough. Again, just prying it open a little bit to get my wire through. There we are. Almost, almost. Okay, so in the process, I'm going to share this with you. Look, I got a little aggressive and it is no longer the shape that it was supposed to be. So now I need to fix it. What are we going to do to fix that? I got aggressive with it. Oops. This happens, right? So I'm going to pull out another pair of, because I only have 3 pairs of nylon nose pliers in all different shapes. Oh. It's like, oh no. I really did misshapen that big time. Don't do that. Because the copper is soft, it moved on me. You see, it's not like perfectly round anymore. It's sort of sad. What happened? So it's about assessing where I need to make the bend and assessing what tool would be best without marring and creating other problems. And like so. And just trying to reshape it to make it round again is all I am doing, and I feel like I am making it worse. Son of a gun. Okie dokie. Better. A little better, right? Half round pliers. I don't have any! I know, a tool I don't have, sort of crazy. Let's see. That's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's not as awful as it was. I think this just needs to be shifted over this way a little bit. Okay. There we go. So it's all about seeing it. Alright. So I didn't finish any of the other parts. Because I just couldn't commit to how I wanted to cut this, so that's why they're still long. I'm still going to leave it because I can't seem to commit to it. Alright, so now we're going to put the bail on because we know where we want it. And you can solder this however you want to solder this, okay? So if you want to hold it on a third hand, like so, right? And then hold the bail and solder it on like so, you can, or you can lay it flat. I am going to lay this flat, and I think I'm going to go ahead and use the tripod for this, like so. And put this on. Make sure that it's making connection. Okay, maybe not. You know what? Again, this is where you have to play with it and figure out what's going to start working for you. So yes, I've been debating on those granules on the stems, but I don't know why, I just couldn't commit. Just haven't been able to commit to it. It's a thing. Okay, so this I think is how I'm going to go with it, because the pumice is allowing me to articulate it to where I want it to be. So now that I know this will work, I'll go ahead and put solder on there. I'm having commitment issues, that's all. Okay, so I'm just going to put solder on the inside, on both sides of the inside, both sides of the inside of the bale. Okay, I'll neaten that up a little bit. Oh, sterling beads, so they move. Huh, I'm gonna have to go find one that actually that actually fits the wire. That's actually a good idea. I mean, right here, it'd be really fun to put a sterling bead here, put a granule on it, and have it move, right? I just have to find a bead that has a hole that's big enough. Okay, so here I'm going to position it slightly off. I would like it to be on the same line as this. As you can see, it is off. So I'm going to move it over until it lines up. Okay, so what you don't know is actually one of these joints did fall apart while I was screwing around with it, which means I didn't do a good job in the first place. So I'm going to go ahead and put some solder right there, and I'm going to solder at the same time. Why not take advantage of it? So I just put some easy solder on there. Okay, so that should be good until I do that. Oops. No laughing. Oh, okay, start over. There we are. Okay? Okay. We're going to heat it and then focus right up there, right? And I have a joint here too to do. Just heat it. Make sure the bale gets hot. Make sure the copper gets hot. There it is. It's flowing, not completely sure it's made the contact I want it to make, so I'm going to give a little bit more heat. I'm going to go down here and finish this one off too while I'm at it, making sure that I don't release anything else. I think we're good. Okay, pray. Deep breath. Flip it over. Let's see what's going on the other side. I'm checking the joints now. I think I got it. Alright. Yes. Okay. And I'm going to check this joint here too. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. So before I pickle it, what I'm going to do, because the next part is going to be set the stone, I'm going to go ahead and anneal this bezel. Even though we haven't done much to it, I don't know if you've been filing it, sanding it, or what. I just don't remember where it was because it's a week ago. I'm going to go ahead and take the extra step of annealing it to ensure that it is pliable for setting, because if you don't, what's going to happen is it'll be so hard that when you go to set it, it's going to be a regret. So since we're pickling anyway, you might as well go ahead and anneal it, right? So I'm just annealing the bezel cup, just like so, very gently. I'm just heating it. And I'm not getting real aggressive with my heat because I just want the bezel cup to soften up, that's all. Okay? Alright, that should be good. Quench it and pickle it and we'll do a setting. Have I been, oh, has my head been under the camera? Oops. Sorry. Okay, we'll figure out another angle. Actually, wait a second. I'm going to have to move anyway. And hold on. Oops. Because the next part is going to have to why aren't you moving? Sorry guys. There you are. I do need a different angle for the next part anyway. So maybe there. Yeah. We'll do it there. So you're going to need a bezel pusher and a bezel pusher and a burnisher. And if your stone was rocking inside of that bezel, you would want to make a frame approximately 20 gauge or 18 gauge to go inside of the bezel because it will create a seat for your stone and this will sit on there and allow it to stabilize. Okay? Alright, let's see what's going on in the pickle. Okay, let's see how we doing. Yay! It's looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to set it first and then we'll work on finishing it. Make sure it's nice and dry because we're setting a stone in there. You want that really nice and dry inside of the stone. Okay. So I'm also checking, make sure that I don't have any burrs. If you have some burrs, make sure you take it out. Okay. With sandpaper, or you can take out your needle file and sort of run your needle file on the inside of that bezel and remove the burrs. Okay, so here we are. If you do any more filing and sanding, you do need to anneal that bezel. Okay. So we'll put the frame in like so and make sure it is nice and flat inside. Alright, so if you are insecure about whether or not your stone is going to fit, you want to make sure before you put the stone in to lay a piece of dental floss across and then put it in like so. Okay, because if you have to make any more adjustments, you can still take it out. Okay, but if this is it, then you're good. Just pull the dental floss out and set it in there. You should only have approximately 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters of bezel above the stone. Okay, so just that little bit of a lip. Make sure this is nice and even in there, and it is. Okay, so here's the key. I think you can see this. Always keep your finger underneath your bezel. Okay, you never want to hold your bezel like this. This is not a good thing because you'll probably slip over the stone. This gives you a lot more control. Another thing too is you also want to use your body weight and not just push with your arm. Okay, so you want to lean into it. You want to work in cardinal points initially, which means top, bottom, left, right, okay, or north, south, east, west. Those are your cardinal points. Your angle, okay, should be approximately 45 degrees. You don't want to come across like this. See, you don't want to come across the stone. You want to be at this angle. You also want the bezel to be let's see if you can see that there, right there, right? Right in the middle of this, right in the middle of the pusher, okay? So you want to be right, you're always working in the middle of that pusher, okay? So here I'm just going to do a little bit, just push it in and you'll see it. See that? It's a little dent, right? And I'll flip it over to the other side. And you always want to do those cardinal points first because it sort of keeps it in place before you do anything. And you definitely want to do the corner like so. And we'll do the top. So, you see that? Oops. New camera angle, trying to figure that out. So you have top, right, left, or top, bottom, left, right. Okay. And then you want to come in at the other angles next. So we'll go here and then go to the opposite here. And we're always working in opposites once you set it in. And it should be, honestly, that easy. Okay? So now that it's in place, you start working your way all the way around. So always start with the corners first. And notice how I'm rocking it. I'm still at that angle, right? Just going to rock it into place. And again, always work at your corners first and get those in. You see how it's just gently moving in, like so. If you're working in a circle, just keep going. Okay, so here, we'll just keep moving around. Hello, Illinois. Okay, and notice how I'm doing this rocking motion. I'm not just pushing on it, I'm rocking it into place. Okay, and see, I have this blooper here. You see that? I'm just going to rock it into place. Believe it or not, this does take some time, and yes, I'm doing this quite quickly. If you remember the story, first time I did one, it took me 6 hours. Second time was 3. Now you can see how quickly I can do this. Okay, so you'll get there. You got to give yourself some time. And notice I'm working right back over to that corner. Okay, so everybody's mostly down. I'm going to change my angle. So remember, my angle, wait, sorry. Okay, my angle was here. You guys can't see that. Trying to figure out how to get this camera angle to where you can see. You know, I think I'm going to just change. How do I do this? It's really hard to show you, but we're going to try. We are definitely going to try to show this angle. Okay. Can you see that? Yeah, maybe. Okay, so this was my angle, right? It was at 45. So now I'm going to move it further up. So what is that, about 70? Okay. I'm not directly up and down like this. I'm at still a slight angle over it. So here we're going to go at a more severe angle and we're going to keep working that down. Don't overwork your bezel because every time you push it, it is getting harder and harder to do. Okay, so make sure that every single move you make is deliberate. Okay, like so. Okay, there we are. And I'm just going back, and if I see a wobble, I'm going to smooth it down. And I'm just working at that angle. So I'm going for a second pass here at that angle. Okay. Like so. And here the corner has gotten hard, so I'm just going to go back and forth really at that nice severe angle and bring it down. See how close and how my wait, why can't I figure out where this camera is today? Okay, do you see how close the stone is to the bezel? That's what we're looking for. You can still see I have a couple of wobbles, but we're going to fix that so it's nice and smooth. Okay, so we've made 2 passes already at that 70-degree angle. Now I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way up. You see how severe my angle is here? I'm going to go right over it, but I'm never going on the stone. I'm still working right over the bezel, and especially here on this corner. Just like so. If you're afraid of damaging your stone, put a piece of tape over it. Okay, so did you see I slipped there? More than likely I have a scratch. Yep, I have a bit of a scratch here. I'll show you how to take it off. Okay. And notice I'm working a little bit at a time. Always working in the center of your bezel rocker. Just like so. And that's it. So now it really hugs a stone so that when I stroke it, it feels like a smooth transition from the stone to the bezel. Okay, so basically you have literally rolled it over your stone. Okay. Yep. Okay, so that's it. Next up, we're going to take out our burnisher and we're going to burnish the edges. This is how I like to do it. I like to have my thumb in the curve, and using the curve, I'm just going to hold it in my hands and burnish it, which means I'm pushing down pretty hard on the edge of that bezel just to smooth it out. You'll feel maybe some of your scratches or some wobbles. This will take it all out. Okay, easy peasy. And you'll see that it's also brightening up and smoothing out because you're polishing it. You're burnishing it. That's what it means. Okay. So we just do that all the way around until you're happy. I'm still a little peeved about my shape. You know, I'm going to be toying around with that for a couple hours. Okay, there we are. Oops. Okay. Okay, that's it. So how are we going to fix the rest of this stuff? Well, good old sandpaper. So I'm just going to take out my sandpaper and sand it out. So if you have done any damage to your bezel, this is how you're going to fix it. Be careful not to be sanding your stone, because that would be bad too. So stay off of there. But I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing and get it to the same smoothness. So you can use whatever grit you want, 400, 500, 600. This is going to depend on how bad your gouge is, right? So if you have a really bad gouge, I would start with 400. If you have a few scratches, you can go 500 or 600. It's okay. Okay. So make sure while you're here that you get those other edges. I'm still deliberating on how I want to do that, just because, you know, that's where my head is. And then probably a brass brush. Yep. Oops. So by the way, if you have registered for Virtually Ever Crafting, just to let you know, the instructors are responsible for shipping out your kits. So from us, I will be shipping out Ariane's, and Sully's and myself we will be shipping from here. So If you have questions about your kits, do direct them to the instructors themselves, okay? And you can find their contact information on their Virtually Ever Crafting page under their instructor. Okay, so I'm just cleaning this up. So we started shipping out yesterday, but some of you will not get it until next week. We didn't ship everybody's out, okay? So anyway, here we are. So I'm just gonna sit here. That's all that's really left. Oh, your brass balls, okay? Your brass granules. You're going to, if you want to get that nice brass color back up, you're just going to have to work it a little bit. I'm going to take some sandpaper for that middle one because it's a nice flat surface, and sand off that copper oxide. So do you have questions? You can put this in liver of sulfur if you want. Could you throw this in the tumbler? I would not probably throw this in the tumbler because you have a stone on it, right? So you're going to take the time out and clean all these little bits and pieces everywhere you go. I'm going to sit around, think about what I want to do with these pieces because I just can't decide, and clean all these little spots up. Okay. So, no questions? You guys are doing okay? Enjoying the day? So I'm pretty excited about this piece. I think it's, other than the fact that I screwed it up at the very end with the shape. Oh. Anyway, it is coming together, right? And actually, you know, these little spots are really hard to get into. I'm going to save myself a little bit of grief, and I'm going to take out a much more mechanical process. Let's see. I'm going to take out my flex shaft. Yes, you polishing, you know, I'll go ahead and polish the bezel here in a second. I'll show you how to do that. Okay. Before we do that, I'm going to clean it up a little bit more with a brass brush on an end brush on my flex shaft. Bring in the floating wire at 2 o'clock. Yeah, again, it's something I'm gonna have to mess around with that a little bit. I think it moved this way. It's gonna have to move that way to make it better. So, like I said, you know me, I'm gonna screw around with it for a bit. So this is just an end brush, brass end brush. Yes, I will show you how to polish with rouge here in a second. And we'll do, I'm not gonna polish this whole thing with rouge. I'm going to just polish the, I'm just going to polish the bezel with the rouge because I want the rest of it to be a little bit more rustic. Like so. Actually, I really like this. Okay. Hey, thanks for liking that. Okay, so I don't know if I want to patina this either. That's still up in the air. I don't know. If you're going to patina this, use liver of sulfur. Let's go ahead and polish the bezel and then figure out whether or not I want to patina this even more. So I just switched out to a muslin wheel, and then I have a little bit of Euroluster. You can use Tripoli, you can use Red Rouge, whatever makes you happy, but we have a tendency to use Euroluster because it is a finishing polish. Okay, so the stone that we're using is just a Crazy Lace agate, and notice I'm just going to go right in here, get a bit aggressive with it, and just hit it like so. The black is just schmutz. It'll come off with Dawn liquid soap, but you want to make sure you get in there and get it all nice and shiny. We'll do the back too, because we can. Just like that. This will clean off with, again, Dawn liquid soap, and a toothbrush works really well if you don't have a ultrasonic cleaner or the like. Every so often you want to go ahead and apply a little bit more rouge or polish or Euroluster. See how you impregnate it into the wheel? Like so. So see, it's nice and shiny. Okay. I'll post a picture of this later, and I'll send you, everyone who has signed up for the kit, I'll send you the instruction sheets here in a couple hours. Okay, so there it is. Again, you'll have to take this to, you'll want to take this to the sink and brush it with a toothbrush and some Dawn liquid soap, and that will remove any of the black polish that's still left on there. Okay, so there we are. And what else we have on there? Oh no, I just need to make a decision, right? Just make a decision already. But okay. Yeah, the middle one's bent. Again, I think I just need to play with this a little bit. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's it for the project. You know, there's one other thing here, is I'm going to show you a quick trick. This is what you get to do if you have one of these little torches. Okay, so I know that I did decide along the way that I wanted to add believe it or not, I'm gonna like absolutely rig this here. I wanted to add a granule right here. I've already added my stone, so how the heck am I going to do that? Well, you sort of can't unless you have one of these little torches. With the butane torch, it becomes really hazardous, and it probably won't work, right? So, wait, stay there. Obviously, I'm on an angle, and so I have my little Gentek torch, okay, and I want to add a little granule. So let's turn that on. So this is what you get to do after the fact when you have one of these little torches. Oops. Okay. So I'm just turning on my baby torch here. I don't think you can see that yet. Okay, so I see I have a tiny little baby torch. Alright. So tweezers. Lost my tweezers. Okay, so I need to add a little bit of solder right there. We're just going to go with easy solder. Right there. And okay. So yeah, this is scary business when you have a big butane torch. But when you have one of these tiny little torches, you can totally get away with it, right? Okay, so right in there. And boom. I think you're done. You done? There it is. Done. That's it. That's what you get for having a little tiny torch. And notice nothing else was really affected. Okay? Just that area right there. Okay. I'm going to do a scary thing. Yeah. See, you can even touch it. It's a little warm, but it's fine. Okay, you definitely don't want to quench the stone, but I will quench the rest of it. You can see. Once again, just polish it up, and you're good to go. And again, I just quenched this little bit. Notice how I can handle everything else. It's a little warm, but so just a trick. Just a last minute trick because I wanted to add that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sit here and fiddle around with this until it gets round again, and I'll post a picture on the Q Talk Facebook page when all done. But that's the labyrinth project, a step-by-step labyrinth, 3 parts which is the first time we've done a three-parter. I think it was worth it, and lots of little steps to learn. Okay, so no one has questions? Had a lot of fun with this. Hope you guys had fun too. So what is going on the rest of the week? We've got on Friday the Majestic Pendant, which is this baby, right? And so that's on Friday if you're registered for the Zoom. That is on Friday. And if not, you can still register for the Zoom at the Urban Beater website. Let's see, Monday, I can't remember. I think it's a ring. Too many things going on. I know that the Lily of the Valley project is coming up soon here, and in the next month. Other than that, we've got virtual ever crafting. All the instructors are meeting tomorrow. Yay! And we're going to talk about it. So if anybody has any input before we go into virtual ever crafting, do let me know, because I'm meeting with everybody tomorrow, and we're just preparing for that. Okay. All right. It's a beautiful day outside, so everybody should go out, do something outside while we can, and thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here and sharing all these videos and your support, and we will see you on Monday. And oh yeah, thanks for your patience with all the stinking video stuff today. Still happening. All right, we'll see you on Monday.